Hi everybody, it's Christy here from FUNKYJUNK Inspiration, and we're going to do a mixed media project. First thing we're going to do is we're going to make our bow. I took a piece of wire, folded it in half, so I had a little loop on it, and then I'm using my bow dabber here, just putting the ribbon in and twisting and fluffing the little bows, the little loops as I go right there. I usually try to do my loops a little bit smaller each time. It doesn't look like I'm doing that here, but usually I try to do that. So it kind of gives it a little bit more of a fuller look to it. I made a very small loop there at the end. That'll be the center of my bow. Okay, so now I'm just going to take my wire and lift that up out of here. And then I'm going to take the two loose ends and I'm going to stick them in that loop. See that? Then I'm going to pull it real super tight as I possibly can. Okay? Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap it around. I'm going to split the wire pieces, and I'm going to kind of go around a couple times. Just like that, just to get it tight. Then I'm going to grab a hold of it and pinch it real close, and I'm going to turn the bow, not the wire, turn the bow. Then we'll cut this excess off right there. Then we're going to fluff our bow. Now I do have a fluffing board. It's over at my mom's house, so, there's that. Anyway, I need to make me one, because I kind of gave her mine because she's been making wreaths and stuff. So anyway, there, we made us a sweet little black and white bow. Okay, set that over to the side. Now I'm going to take this board that I have. This once had something else on it, and I'm just going to paint it white. I'm going to cover the whole entire thing with white paint. As you can see, I already have a hanger on this up at the top. I like to use the concrete stabilizers. I get them at the hardware store, and I screw those on with a little bit of a bend on the top of my board. That does make it a lot easier, where you can make a double-sided, picture or piece of art, and you can just flip it around by hooking it on the top. There's not, a hanger on one side or the other. So anyway, we're just painting this white, and then I'm going to dry it. I am using Rust-Oleum chalked paint. I love that Rust-Oleum chalk paint. I think it's the best paint. It covers very well. I buy it in the quarts at the hardware store, and then put it in FIFO bottles. And you can get FIFO bottles on Amazon under condiments. Okay, I did dry that. I didn't bore you with that, but I cut that out. So now I'm just going to take my red barn paint. It's also from Rust-Oleum chalked paint. Buy it in the quart also. And we're just going to take this chippy brush. We're just going to kind of go around the edge. I don't need to do the center, because I am going to put a piece of rice paper on here. And I want it to be white and bright underneath there, so that the image on the rice paper really stands out. But I want a little bit of a red edge around the outside. And then, well, you'll see. I'm going to cut my rice paper a little bit smaller than this border right here. And then we'll do some blending and all that kind of fun stuff. But that's all I'm doing right here, is just going ahead and getting the red border put on here. And then we're going to dry that. I'm going to cut that out. Just didn't want to bore you with that. Okay, so now here's my board nice and dry, and here's the rice paper that I'm going to use. I want to put Santa down here in the very bottom. So I'm just kind of sizing it up on how I want it to be. Then I'm going to take my watercolor paint water pen, and we're just going to go right along here, and I'm just going to get that wet and kind of tear it. And see how it kind of makes it, I call it hairy, frazzled, furry, whatever you want to call it. I love that edge that it does there. And we're going to do that on all the sides. I don't like straight edges. I'm going to take an eraser here. This makes it easier. You have a little bit more control of a tear when you're using the eraser. So see where I got the water way up on the rice paper. If I would just tear that, I could possibly tear a big chunk out of there. Now, is there anything wrong with that? Absolutely not. But you do have a little bit more control when you just use the end of an eraser. It's a good way to get actual sizes. And if you are tearing rice paper or a napkin or anything like that, and you want to get like really close to an image or something, and you still want these fuzzy edges instead of a scissor cut edge. This is the way that you'd want to do it. Just use just grab your pencil and use the eraser. And here we are getting the bottom. Just kind of going right along the bottom right there. Then we're going to have to lay this up on our board and check that out. Now this piece of rice paper came from Découpage Central. It is a paper from, I believe, last year. I'm not sure if they still have it, but you can go to Découpage Central and check that out if you want to. Okay, so now let's see how good we did here. It looks like you can't see it on there, but it was a little bit big, so I just kind of creased it over so I could go right below that, and we're just going to tear this piece off right here. So, and I'm using my fingers, and see how I don't get quite straight of a tear. It's a little more jaggedy, but that's okay. We don't mind that. We don't mind that at all. So I'm just kind of sizing her up again and deciding that I need to take some more off. I go back and forth. It's part of creating. You can change your mind. You can do more, do less, whatever you want to do on stuff like that. So there we go. So I was trying to get a little straighter across the top there. Okay, that looks good up there. My sides don't look too terribly bad, but there's a little bit right there. So let's just zoop, zoop, zoop that off right there. Very easy. Very easy. Rice paper and things like that are very forgiving. Okay, so I think we like that. I think we like how that turns out. Now I'm going to use the Pentart varnish and decoupaging glue. I love this glue. It's nice and thick. So you got a couple minutes to get, not a couple minutes, but you got a little bit longer than the thinner stuff does. But it's not quite as thick as the Mod Podge. It's kind of between the two. But I do like this stuff. It is a varnish also, so you can use it as a top coat, and your project will be nice and sealed and saved from the little fingers or the big fingers that like to touch our pretties and get fingerprints on them and stuff, right? Also makes it easier if you put a top coat on stuff so that you can dust it, So here I am just going along, and I am going right over the top and kind of smoothing that out a little bit. Wrinkles. I love wrinkles. Wrinkles don't bother me. The more wrinkles, the better, I think. So you do you on that. Actually, that's not what I did with that chippy brush. Let me go back and say this again. What I'm using the chippy brush for is I'm pushing, that is a dry chip brush. And what I'm doing is I'm pushing that paper down into that decoupage medium. Because if I use my hand, and rice paper napkins, things like that are nice and thin, I could get sticky on my fingers. And if I get sticky on my fingers, I'm going to pull that back up off the project. So I use the chippy brush, a dry chippy brush, and I just kind of pounce over the top. See, like that, kind of wipe and pounce, and that gets my rice paper, my napkin, or whatever kind of pushed way down in that glue so that it sticks real good. Now I've got a little bubble there, so I'm just going to go over the top of it with my stuff. Not a big deal. Everything is fixable, right? So we're just going to go along there, and we're going to get that dry. And now it's all nice and dry. Now I'm going to pull out one of my stencils from Essential Stencil. I am an ambassador for Essential Stencil. If you use the code FUNKYJUNK, all in one word, on their website, you will save 10%, and that also helps me out a little bit too, for buying more stencils and things like that. So here I am getting black on the end of my brush. I want to work that up into my bristles. I don't want the paint sitting on the ends of the bristles. I go over there and offloaded it onto a paper towel, and now I'm just going in a circular motion and doing my stencil right here. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy, right? The thicker your paint, the better. If you are new to stencils, please, please, please get you a piece of cardboard and just practice with a stencil. Less is best. You want your project to be flat. You can add more paint. You can't take paint away. You want to make sure your stencil is down real good and not moving, and you'll be perfectly fine. Thicker paint does help a little bit with that. So, right there we go. Doesn't that look pretty? Now we're going to put our little bow up here. Now, I don't know what happened when I videoed this, but I did cut the top of everything off. I apologize about that. Now I'm going to just take some Distress ink and I'm going to go along my edges here and kind of go across the wrinkles and all that kind of fun stuff, so that this sign right here doesn't look like I made it today. It looks like I made it years ago, and it is all nice and distressed. And just like the older looking Santa is on there, it'll all just kind of match and look kind of cool. I love the Believe in the Magic. I love the old Santas. His pipe is just adorable to me. I absolutely love this. I love doing mixed media projects. I do want to real quick say this is part of a playlist with Take 5. We do playlists every other Friday, and we go from Shabby Meets Flabby, or Shabby Meets Fabby, to mixed media, etc., etc., etc. So, but every other Friday, if you'd like to join us, please let me know. You will find the link to the playlist up in my description. And my co-host is Miss Jeannie from Jeannie's Palette. She does some amazing work. She is an amazing artist. Make sure you check out her page. Her link is up there. We have wonderful collaborators joining us today. Make sure you check everybody out. Give everybody a thumbs up and all that good stuff. That you don't know how wonderful that does for us. Give us a little comment, and we all would love it if you would subscribe to our channels. And I will see you guys next time. Bye-bye.